Hello everyone. I'm beginning today's layout with two photos that are somewhere around 4 by 6 and a cool stamp by Stamp Pendus. My background cardstock is by Tim Holtz and I am so ready to get started. I had an ambitious idea that I could do this in 10 minutes. That did not happen. I'm going to tell you a story about where we are in just a moment, but I began my layout by marking off the state we're in and the state we're going to. Quite a nice road trip, Maryland to Illinois. And I'm trying my best to use up all of my scraps here. So it probably could have taken 10 minutes if I just put on a regular mat, but I kind of got carried away and it took a lot longer. Anyway, where are we? We're in an area called Sliding Hill. It's a Sliding Hill rest stop in like Cumberland, Maryland. And it's a beautiful place. If you ever go by there, stop at the rest stop, climb up the observation deck and take a look at the view. It is absolutely beautiful. Mountains everywhere. So this path to Cumberland or through Cumberland has been traveled for a really long time. Stagecoaches used to travel through here. It was exceedingly difficult. And in the 30s, it was still difficult. It was a hard trip to travel I think it was 40 miles, 5 different mountains, to do more than get to the other side. But anyway, in the 80s, they decided to blast the area with the hope of making it a safer passage. And they blasted 380 feet deep, whoever they are, 200 feet wide, 4.5 miles, and I don't know, spent something like $20 million or so on it. It has a really interesting history, the whole area, the town, the mountains, the people too. So if you're ever in the area, take a stop, look at the rest stop, and enjoy. It's absolutely a beautiful area to stop and relax at and take a look. The other thing was years ago, my husband and I, we were looking for a house, and we were looking for a house in Cumberland. And this is the first time we were really looking for a house. I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. And so we looked at this house in a newspaper and we saw a picture of it and it looked really cool. It was like an old historical house and it said all these wonderful things about it. And it just made it seem like it was just needed a little paint on it. And when we spoke to the broker, she was the same way. She's like, "Oh, you just paint it, maybe clean up the floors a little bit. You're gonna love it. It'll be perfect for you." And people travel from Cumberland to Baltimore to work all the time, and they do. It's a long ride, but they do. They probably take the train that was right outside our doorstep that she didn't tell us about that rattled the house when you were inside of it. But anyway, we didn't know anything about what the house was like. We were so excited. We drove there and we parked the car in front of the house and we look around and we think, nobody lives here. There was nobody, nobody, absolutely nobody. And so we thought, we're not going to have neighbors. There are no people here. There's a train track. There were other houses, but everything at that time was abandoned. I would love to go back and see what it's like nowadays. We probably would have been the first people moving in or back. But she said that the kitchen needed a little work. There was no kitchen. There wasn't even a kitchen floor on half of the area. When we walked through the door, it made a lot of noise. It was dust everywhere. Ralph was like, "You might want to stay outside," because I was pregnant. But it wasn't like floating dust or anything like that. And I took a little peek. I had to leave a little sooner, but the house had like, there wasn't really an inside. It was like someone started gutting it out, which she didn't tell us. And she knew that Ralph was good at fixing things and painting and all, he's amazing. But this place looked like it had been demoed. And we learned a lot about reading ads after that because we did not, of course, buy the house. it would have cost more to fix up the house than what the house actually cost to buy. Which is fine, you can do that because sometimes it's a profit, but nobody lived there. We wouldn't have had no neighbors. We would have had the train going by and shaking us up every day. And it went through a lot. It wasn't like it went through once in a blue moon. In the morning, the train went back and forth taking people to work, and in the evening, bringing them home. And I'm sure there was an afternoon train. Can you imagine that? Like you put your baby to sleep and it'd be like, oh, no. And the house, there are no words to describe it, but the outside of the house looked quite nice. It was beautiful. You could see the potential. And you could see the potential on the inside if you had or were willing to invest, my kidney, my husband's kidney, my unborn child's kidney. We would have had, it was, no. But anyway, it is a beautiful place to go to. This site place, I don't know why. Every time I think of going through there, sometimes I think of the house. And I'd love to go back. I'm going to do that. I'm going to go visit the area. If I can find that house, I will. It's probably gorgeous now. And worth worth an arm and a leg that someone spent to get it that way. I don't know. Anyway. But it's neat when you travel and you travel through all these little towns or places and you take a moment and you go look and you read about the history. And I love history. And so this is one of my favorite places to stop. I cannot drive by it and not stop at Sliding Hill. It's just beautiful. So I'm going to move to super speed until we get to the end, but back to the layout. I probably could have finished it in 10 minutes, but I got carried away with the photo on the left when I started putting the layers on it. And I really like my photos to have, for the most part, a matte or layers underneath it. And in this case, I just kept going and couldn't stop. I get like that sometimes, you may have noticed. But I think it looks neat when you build up a photo, and I'm thinking for my layering gone wild, my next one that I do, I'm thinking of taking a photo and building out from the photo across the page and see what happens. And I want to put some mixed media in there and some other things. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm thinking that's what I kind of want to do. And I like using this fun foam too to put up my photos. It's pretty inexpensive. I get it from Michael's. And sometimes when I'm just using like a little tiny thing like a dot or something like that, and I put the photo in the album, I don't always feel like, because of how much I put on my page, that it's sturdy enough. So I like this fun foam because it's nice and sturdy. And I inked the edges of my background cardstock because the cardstock is light and I really wanted it to be more defined and bring out the print that is in the cardstock. So I used, I believe, antique brass on the trimming. My journaling is very simple. It says, sometimes you have to stop along the road you're traveling and enjoy all the eyes can see. Breathe in the air, feel the earth, embrace all the moment offers you before it's gone, and take it with you. So that's what we did. So I really tried to keep the layout simple. I want the photos, of course, to be the focal point, and I didn't want to distract from the stamp that I put on the photo on the right. I like the background cardstock a lot. I like the designs and the sketches that are on there, and so I didn't want to cover all of that up. So keeping it simple but still making it look really nice worked out well. And at the top under rate chart, I kind of nicked the paper. So I'm adding more of the cheesecloth that I'm having in the whole series of these photos, I'm putting a little bit on each page just to kind of have something that connects it all together, which I kind of like. Having an element that connects each page. And so I am coming to an end here. I'll have a close-up for you in just a moment. I was quite ambitious on this. It took 37 minutes. Far from 10 minutes. Well, you know, that's how it goes. But it came out okay. I can live with this. I like it. And I'll have some stills for you in just a moment. And the sister page. This is the page I'm thinking about putting with it, but that might change when I put the album together. I keep going back and forth in my head, but so far that's it. Anyway, do like, subscribe to me, and share. It's very easy to do. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful day and happy scrapbooking. And I'll see you next time.